Thank you very much for the invitation to speak at the annual publishing conference. My name is Stephanie Dawson, and I'm the CEO of ScienceOpen, a discovery environment offering services for academic publishers. I would like to use this opportunity to introduce a new service on the ScienceOpen platform that we call the Integrator, that attempts to address some of the challenges that publishers face today with digital content curation and discovery. In the shadow of a deadly virus, the past 2 years have taught us a lot of things: how digital we actually are and how quickly we could innovate. The fact that we hold this annual conference online is a testament to those rapid developments. But the pandemic has accelerated trends and put such pressure on our digital system that cracks are thrown into high relief. One of those trends that we saw grow in importance at ScienceOpen is post-publication content curation that allows publishers to react quickly to new topics of the day with tailored collections of books or articles. Today, I would like to share some of ScienceOpen's experiences in digital curation and some of the new products and ideas that we've been developing out of those experiences and together with our partners. First, a few words to the ScienceOpen technology. ScienceOpen is a discovery platform and citation network with over 73 million records for articles, books, and conference proceedings. We aggregate content from a few large open access sources like the PubMed Central Open Access Data Subset, Archive, Cielo, and then directly from our customers. For each new record that comes in, we analyze the references. We do a lookup in our own database. If we've seen that record before, we increase the citation index. If not, we go to Crossref or DataCite and pull in the publicly available metadata for that book or article and create a new record on our platform. In this way, we can iteratively grow the database in those research areas that are most relevant to our partners and users and authors. On top of the citation database, we have an interactive interface on the platform that allows researchers to recommend, share, comment on, and review articles. Authors can enhance their own metadata by verifying their ORCID, adding a lay summary or a catchy image or data availability statement. And researchers can further apply for editor status and curate literature collections in their research fields for teaching, collaboration, conferences, and more. Embedded within this discovery environment, ScienceOpen offers a range of services to journals and publishers and editors, from promotional tools around discovery, so author marketing and curation, to support with best practice metadata, helping publishers to get rich metadata uploaded to Crossref, etc. We have open access hosting services and some full publishing solutions, including our own manuscript submission and peer review management tools, both for open peer review and for blinded peer review. And we do work with journals and books and conference content on the platform. But today I would like to focus on the discovery services around curated collections. With the dawning awareness of the severity of the situation at the beginning of 2020, publishers stepped up as stewards of knowledge, scouring their back catalogs and journal contents for relevant research and making that freely accessible to the public. Often as a list of links on a hastily programmed web page, curated and managed manually. As an aggregator at ScienceOpen, we also wanted to do our part. We created an automated collection based on search terms and then began working with publishers and institutions to add their article metadata. When we had good access to a full set of metadata, this went smoothly, such as the automated search we created for Hindavi. But sometimes this was a painful process because web pages were maintained manually with no options for an automated feed. Scraping a website did not provide DOIs there was no way to access the delta to add just what was new. We created altogether 22 collections for publishers and institutes to gather together their research on coronaviruses, directly on COVID-19, on respiration technology, etc. For the University College London, we also we combined data from their institutional repository and search data from our site to create an overview of the university's outputs across all content types, so articles, chapters, books, and data sets, and across all journals and publishers. So we really gave the university administration a place to point to what their university was working on, and all with a really searchable interface, because as soon as you get 2,000 articles, you need a way to search and sort and filter. Researchers associated with the university have also recently created an automatically updating collection on long COVID as an outreach tool for their community. And so on ScienceOpen, these curated collections are embedded within that discovery environment of 73 million records and are promoted with a wide range of filters and facet menus to make them more discoverable, and really to highlight that content that's been curated by different publishers or different universities as a source of validated research for users on the platform. So as you can see, the ScienceOpen collection infrastructure supports a range of collection types. For example, across multiple journals on a similar topic, or across books and articles, as for example, with this collection from the IET on power engineering. It sounds straightforward, but many publishers do not have the technology to create a seamless, multifaceted search across different journals or journal and book chapter content. Very often, book and journal content is hosted in completely different systems with different metadata. Some society publishers even work with multiple different publishers, so their content may be as well, journal content may be on different platforms. Sometimes societies or publishers are doing joint projects with other content providers. So there's lots of opportunities and requirements for putting content into one searchable space, with that having that metadata in one area, but always linking back to the version of record on the publisher's website. But having that content searchable on a third-party platform is nice, but it doesn't improve the user experience on one's own publisher page or society page. So the solution that we came up with at ScienceOpen, after talking to a number of partners and customers, was to embed the content and search filters directly on the publisher's website with an iframe technology, and then link directly from the search results to the publisher's article landing page via a DOI lookup, to really put that search and discovery tools directly, embed those into the publisher's space where they're reaching out to their customers, or to put it simply, the integrator. Well, we envisioned that this tool would be most interesting for societies with journals hosted with publishing partners, to create topical collections across all of their content, or to create a subset of a special topical collection on a particular topic for an event, or to react to a topic of the day. Actually, the first customers interested in this tool have been journal publishers with their own rich websites, but content hosted on other platforms. Within their own websites, they could add a rich search and discovery interface for their content at a very low cost. We were able to customize the look and feel with different color flags and texts and different page width implementations. So previously, this journal, the Irish Journal of Agricultural and Food Research, was updating content manually, and somebody had to link to every new article that was published and hosted on a different website. Now it is automatically, instantaneously added to their website the moment that it's published. They can see how usage, citations, and recommendations are all prominently displayed in this implementation and can be used for sorting and searching. And the link from the article page links directly to the article landing page, and the publisher can track that usage via their Google Analytics. A further implementation for this journal is a simple link list of the most recent articles in a one-column layout that updates automatically when new content is published. In another implementation, we've compressed the article list to a single column that does not show the facets menu, which are less critical for this brand new journal with only a small amount of content, but it does show off the article metrics and the catchy thumbnail images on this journal. So it really brings a lot of liveliness to that website of that brand new journal. In another for another journal with an open journal systems hosting and an OJS journal landing page, we created an OJS plugin. In this implementation, we used 2 columns and changed the text to red and the flags to gray. Because the publisher Partners in Digital Health has an account with Altmetric, we also added the Altmetric badges and the sort by Altmetric score to their page. If a publisher doesn't have a relationship with Altmetric, then we don't add those badges directly to their website, but we are happy to make that connection and get that conversation started. So these are the first implementations of this new integrator technology. We really believe we've created a new tool that allows publishers to enrich their websites with state-of-the-art search and discovery tools tailored to their needs. I believe there are many more scenarios in which this implementation would be useful for a whole range of publishers, but it's also been interesting to see customers' own ideas coming to fruition and understanding how this tool can support our hosting customers. We began the year with about 20 hosted open access journals, and we'll start the new year with more like 60 or 70. So this new technology will certainly continue to grow with our program. If you have any ideas yourself for how you could imagine implementing this technology on your own website, don't hesitate to get in touch for a brainstorming session, because we would really love to see publishers using this to both add some more search capability to their websites, to create new ways of presenting their curated content, increasing the engagement on their own in their own environment. We care deeply about discovery and will continue to innovate in this area. ScienceOpen, as an aggregator of information, will continue to open up, share, add to, and explore the context of scholarly research in support of open knowledge goals. So join us. I would be very happy to answer any questions. I extra kept the presentation a bit shorter so that we could have a lovely discussion afterwards. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you. Perfect. Great. Thanks a lot. There's a couple questions in the chat. Thanks everyone for listening to the presentation and bearing with me. I am pretty excited to talk about this integrator technology because it's really quite brand new. Sabina Mather asks, what software or tool do we use for reference matching if it's custom software? It is custom software, so that we use. We work quite a bit with using persistent identifiers. DOIs are really great for matching references. And PubMed IDs, DOAJ IDs, any IDs that we can get. But we are otherwise using our own technology. The other question from Sabina was asking if the open access presentation allows interactive ways for the reader to engage with the data and tables and figures. So in the full text XML, I would say we don't have any quite particular interactive tools to work with that data. We've got a lot of interactive tools more at the article level, because the articles on ScienceOpen, let's say of the 73 million articles, most of the content that we're talking about is metadata records that's linking back to the version of record on the publisher website. So a huge amount of the energy and technology that we develop is really thinking about how can we get the reader on ScienceOpen back to you, the publisher, with your version of record on your website to engage those readers further with. A lot of those tools are really also subject specific and topic specific. An article in physics needs to have a really different kind of interaction with those tables than an article in German literature. So I think that's one of the strengths of publishers, is that topical focus. And so we really like to think of ourselves as a linking hub and getting those readers back to you. But of course, we do, as I said, have our own hosting technology that's been really growing quite rapidly. So at the moment, a lot of the publishers that we're working with do have, sort of PDF and XML metadata level, but we are working on coming up with some new ideas for the full text XML. Yeah, so you're right, Sabina, more like linking and discovery and then leading out to the version of record on the publisher site. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And Bridget asks, what's the commercial model for using the service for publishers? So as I said, we offer really a whole range of tools for publishers. So everything from, discovery around curated content, and that can be, promoting content that's curated as a journal. It can be promoting content that's a selection of journals on a particular topic, or a subset of content from a particular journal or set of journals. So we like to think about curation and digital curation in new ways. And so that's kind of at the core of our services that we offer to publishers. And the commercial model is that publishers pay for this collection landing page and for the for us to really get the best possible metadata into the site in an optimized way. We also work with a lot of publishers to then, if we get beautiful metadata on ScienceOpen, then like, why don't we update that at Crossref? Because having rich metadata at Crossref can also be a big door opener there. So a bit the idea for the integrator technology was, we were providing all of these curation tools on the ScienceOpen platform, which I think is really powerful. But some of our publisher customers were saying, well, how can we get more of that interaction onto our own website? So by putting this implementation directly on the publisher website, we don't sort of redirect to ScienceOpen, but we go straight to the version of record on the publisher's site. So the publisher really basically can add, the metadata and discovery infrastructure into their platform and sort of keep the activity right there. Another question from Sabina. Do we have an author or people data offering, like a profile system, and do we disambiguate people data? Asking this because we mentioned using ORCIDs. We do. We work very closely with ORCID. We have from the very, very beginning. Instead of having researchers create a profile on ScienceOpen with all of their information, biography, we instead just link to their ORCID profile, and we can add all of that content onto the ScienceOpen platform. If somebody finds an article on ScienceOpen that they authored, we'll write that back onto their ORCID profile as well. We are all the time trying to disambiguate people data and create sort of stub profiles until somebody comes along with an ORCID and says, hey, wait a minute, that's my publication. So, I mean, the good news is when people come onto ScienceOpen, they might see like, oh, wow, there's, a lot of my content is already here because it's relevant to the community, because it's been cited, it's been requested by someone, it's been added because it's open access. And then they can take the next step and link that up with their ORCID. Yeah, there's another question from Sandaba. During the initial days of the pandemic, there were many contradictory findings and research. How did we ensure the information provided to the reader was correct? Well, that's something that all of us, struggle with more or less as publishers, as humans. And during the initial days of the pandemic, this was actually one of the motivations for us to create these publisher collections, to start working with publishers, because we felt like, wow, there's all this data coming in, lots of preprints, so much preprints, but also data sets and brand new articles that we felt it would be helpful for readers if they were searching in the entire corpus of content that we'd aggregated on COVID-19, and that they would find an article, they would find in the facets menu, oh, these have been published by Wiley, or these are all articles that have been published by the IET or AIP. By highlighting content that had been, let's say, validated by reputable publishers, we were trying to provide shortcuts to users to find, peer-reviewed content. So yeah, that said, there's researchers working on the ScienceOpen platform, researchers would immediately understand, like, oh, these are Wiley articles. Oh, I could now click through to Hindavi or something like this. But lay public that's a little bit trickier because they might not necessarily know anything about these publishers. So it's definitely something for us to continue to think about. There is a question from Prashant. Does the integrator work with standard XML formats? Standard XML formats or repositories, or need a different implementation? So how the integrator really works is we start working together with a publisher. We create the framework for the landing page, help them fill it up with content and images. Usually we get a feed, a push feed of XML metadata into our platform. Sometimes if they've got really just beautiful content from Crossref, we could just add it via Crossref or PubMed Central. We've added feeds from DOAJ before, and then we create that searchable linked list. So we do work usually with standard XML formats. So JATS is our very favorite, and for books, the BITS format. So we don't have any kind of special implementation. But then for the integrator, for the integrator to plug that into your website, that's really just a couple lines of code, like like plugging your Twitter feed into your website. So there's not a lot of extra technology that on the publisher side that they would need in order to kind of just add that rich search discovery tools to their own platform. Sabina also says neat stuff, and would love to show us their search and discovery platforms at APA, and the author profile system, and see how we can continue to learn from ScienceOpen. I would love to do that. That would be really fantastic. I'll put my email address in the chat. Just send me an email, and we can set up a meeting time. Anybody else with some questions? I would really love to see, Kirsty just asked what's the top of our priorities for the year ahead. I would really love to see some societies explore using this technology, because I see so much potential there. For there's societies that have one journal with Elsevier, one journal with Wiley. They maybe have books just on their own page, and I think we really have a lot of potential to put those in one searchable space for them. So I think that reaching out, continuing to reach out to societies and as well institutes with this tool is a high priority. At the moment, where we've seen lots of growth on ScienceOpen is in our open access hosting solutions. We've created a manuscript submission and peer review management tools that are gaining some traction. And so I imagine that the coming year, we will be spending increasing amount of time working with those hosting customers and that hosted content to get the best possible visibility for them, and the best possible, sort of technology underpinnings within the larger framework of the ScienceOpen Discovery platform. So those are sort of the two things that I'm planning on working on, but we'll also see what else comes. We do have as a big sort of topic We are very involved in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the UN SDG Publishers Compact, and working with rich metadata to save the world, as it were. So that's something that we care very much about, and that we'll continue to work on. And then looking sort of beyond to what kind of products can we develop for institutes, what kind of products can we develop for potentially corporations. I think there's a lot of potential there. Is the integrator mobile responsive? Yes, it is. Any other questions that that people have? I would be really happy if you just have any ideas or just want to poke around and see it in action. You know, get in touch, and I'm happy to set up a call. Also, everything on ScienceOpen is freely accessible. You don't have to register. You don't have to create a profile or anything. You can just go on the site and click around and see a lot about what I was talking about today. And if you have other ideas of how you could imagine, you know, using that technology embedded on your website, definitely get in touch. So if there's no other questions, then I guess I would sign off here. Just one more word. My colleague Stuart Cooper is also here in the audience at the conference the next today and tomorrow, and definitely the person to also talk to about the integrator. He did give it its name, so we were thinking around something along. we sometimes tend to say integrator in kind of a Terminator voice. So yeah, then I will hopefully see you all at the networking event tomorrow. If you have any questions, otherwise get in touch. Thanks a lot for the invitation.